talking about the offer around the Devon Alliance. And it's all around ethical recruitment as well. So, as a nurse and the healthcare professionals, you will not be expected to pay for anything to come and work for us. So, we call it the One Devon offer, and as part of our package, everything is paid for, which includes certificate of sponsorship, NMC registration, reimbursement of English language tests. So if you sat an IELTS or an OET, when you arrive in the UK, bring the receipt. That is actually reimbursed. The CBT, OSCE, and 2 months free accommodation is provided here in Devon. Also flights, visa, and I'm just thinking whether there's anything else, but I think that's everything. But it's the whole package. Your meet and greet from the airport or transportation down to the accommodation at each of the hospitals.
The care that nurses and midwives give has a profound impact on people's lives, making up more than 50% of the healthcare workforce. They have tremendous influence on the lives of numerous people. This show is exclusively for nurses and midwives, where we engage in the conversation to explore the dimensions of nursing and midwifery.
First of all, thank you very much for joining our show. And please tell me about you. Like, what are your plans?
Thank you, Chital. So my name's Tracey Collins. I'm the head of International Nursing and Workforce here at the Devon Alliance for International Recruitment, and my colleague Carly Boyce is on the call. So Carly, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yes.
Lovely, thanks Tracey. So my name's Carly Boyce and I'm the Deputy Head of International Recruitment with Devon Alliance. Lovely to be here.
Yeah.
And so we're here to talk to you today about the opportunities to work in the NHS here in Devon in the southwest of England, and to talk to you about the career opportunities and who we are as a team within Devon in the southwest. So I'm a registered nurse, as is Carly, and we both have a real passion and interest for international nursing and global health. And we've worked over many years with international recruitment and met many international nurses and partners overseas over the years. And we thoroughly enjoy working together with institutes and partnerships and giving our nurses the opportunity to come here in the NHS. So within the Devon Alliance, we've been established for 2 years now. We're a small team. There is 9 of us. So myself and Carly as nurses, and we have recruitment partners, and we have administration support and pastoral support within the team. And we are working initially with 6 hospitals, so 6 NHS trusts in Devon, but also supporting our what we call social care providers. So we are an integrated approach to international recruitment. And so we're recruiting nurses, but also care workers and allied healthcare professionals within Devon. And over the last couple of years, we've worked really hard in terms of developing our reputation and maintaining our integrity across the world. And we've recently deployed our 1,000th nurse into the NHS in Devon. They arrived last week, so we're absolutely proud and delighted, and we've been celebrating that huge achievement, which has happened within 2 years.
May I know about the licensing and the visa process for the
course,
nurse?
Of course, absolutely. So when the nurse applies to us here in Devon, obviously they'll be selected for interview if they meet the criteria. So we require English language and obviously to be a qualified nurse in their home country. So they will be selected for interview, and then we conduct the whole process in terms of communicating with the nurse in terms of their documentation and their requirements. So they will require NMC verification of the qualification back home. So when the nurses had their offer and passed their English language, they will register with the NMC, and the NMC will contact the college for verification of the qualification. They will then send the nurse a link to sit a CBT, which is the first stage of the NMC process. So there's a CBT and an OSCE process. So the nurse will need to sit the CBT at home in India. That has to be done before applying for the visa process. And so once all of that is complete and all of the documentation is collated and verified, then the nurse is issued a certificate of sponsorship by the employing organisation, and we support with that. And then that allows the nurse to then apply for their visa process. And the visa normally takes about 3 to 4 weeks. And once the visa has been stamped in the passport, we can then work with the nurse in terms of deploying here to the UK. I think that's correct, isn't it, Carly, in terms of the process?
Absolutely, yeah, spot on.
So Chantel, there's a two-stage process for NMC. So I'm not sure whether you're aware of that, but to become a registered nurse here in the UK, there's different stages. So English language requirements is one. So that's either OET or an IELTS. Okay, and nurses are required to meet a level 7 in all domains, but a 6.5 in writing. Or a C+ if the nurse has taken OET, or B in the other domains. And then we prefer to interview our candidates once they've passed their English language. But then the stage for the NMC process is CBT, which is an online competency-based test that's sat in the home country. And then they will sit the second stage or the final stage of their NMC process here in the UK, which is called the OSCE. And that's a practical test, and Carly's the expert in terms of OSCE. So I might ask Carly if you wanted just to explain a little bit more around OSCE.
And so the OSCE assessment, so basically this is the thing that the majority of nurses coming to work in Devon are most worried about, because once they've arrived to Devon, they have to pass OSCE to receive their PIN number from the NMC. So in our hospitals that we recruit for, they will receive a 3-week training programme for their OSCE, which is classroom based. And they will be given lots of support and teaching to learn all of the skill stations. So, for example, one of the assessment stations could be administering an intramuscular injection. Another station could be administering a medication round, and they will be assessed on lots of different elements in relation to that. Now, it's tough. So we only had a catch up yesterday with some nurses coming from India. We actually spoke to 100 nurses on a Teams call yesterday, myself and Laura, who helped me with the pastoral element with the Devon Alliance. And the most commonly asked question is about the OSCE and how much support they will get. So to reassure people thinking of coming to Devon, we've got great OSCE training teams that will support you through the training programme. We know how difficult it is, and we never underestimate the pressure nurses are under when they do get to Devon. So yeah, the OSCE exam, it's difficult, but our nurses get through it. So the important things for nurses thinking about coming to Devon and coming through us. So what makes us really different and special and unique, in my opinion, and Tracey's, is that we are both nurses. And so this is a clinically led recruitment team, okay? And patient safety is first and foremost. Secondly, we work for the NHS. We are a public sector organisation. There is no profit made for us with any of this. We don't charge the candidates. This is an ethical recruitment method, okay? So just to reassure the nurses thinking about it, because we know there's lots of recruitment agencies out there that will be charging nurses a fortune, and we've come across those awful stories where nurses have had to sell things in order to pay their recruitment fees. Excuse me. So just to reassure them that will not be the case. And then lastly, really, is that with the Devon Alliance, we we provide the love that's needed for these nurses coming to Devon. So we start to wrap our arms around these nurses a couple of months before they get here. We provide reassurance in terms of anxieties that they have. Only yesterday, on a call with 100 nurses who are about to arrive in the next few months, one of the nurses got quite upset at the fact that she's leaving a small child behind in India. And we were able to have that really supportive conversation with her peers that are coming along with her to say, you know, we recognise what you're going to be putting yourself through, and you know, actually we all think you're amazing for doing this. You'll never be alone. You know, you've got friends that are going to be in the same situation. You'll always have a friend to speak to and talk through the support that they will have from us and from their employer. We also focus on education before they get here. So we've got our own Nursing in Devon YouTube channel. We set up WhatsApp groups, and we've got our own electronic booklet, it's Pastoral Passport, that talks through lots of different things in terms of what's the weather going to be like when I arrive in Devon? What things should I pack? What's the accommodation price? So we really try and focus on the main anxieties that nurses have told us that they've got from our experience. And we continue that support when they get here. So we will catch up with them a couple of weeks once they've arrived. And we also encourage them to put themselves forward for a promotion, speak to their managers about courses. We send them courses that may be appropriate for them, because we recognise that these nurses coming over, we want them to be our leaders of the future in the NHS.
Thank you, Carly. And just to reiterate on what you're saying in terms of the the promotional opportunities, though there are so many, there's every opportunity here in the NHS to come and develop and further careers. You can work in any speciality, you know, whether it's medicine, whether it's surgery, whether it's intensive care, whether it's emergency care, whether it's theatres, whether it's community nursing. There is so many opportunities in all sorts of specialities. And I know, Carly, you've got your hand up again there. So
only yesterday during the call with nurses coming over, I thought it'd be a really good example on this. So one of the nurses said, I'm really interested in teaching. Will there be opportunities for me? And I said, absolutely yes. And she said, okay, how do I make myself available for those opportunities? And I explained to her that, for example, one of our nurses that's been here a couple of years started as a band 5 on the medical admissions unit. She's now working as a band 7 clinical tutor in the hospital. So I gave some good advice to this nurse in terms of making it known to her manager that she wants to teach students. So that only came up yesterday. So it's a really good example of the development opportunities that the NHS will provide.
Thanks, Carly. And even with ourselves, isn't it, as an example, you know, when you qualify as a nurse, you start as on a band 5 salary, but you know, you can very easily through promotion become a band 6, become a band 7, become band 8, even to become directors and executive directors across the health service. There is so much opportunity and time. And my specialist interest when I was after I qualified as a nurse, my background is intensive care, and I worked in intensive care for a number of years, which was wonderful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I also had the privilege to be able to work in more leadership roles, and the opportunities were there. I was able to work across services and lead divisions and work as a general manager for a period of time. So learning a very different aspect of the NHS, which gives you that all-rounded opportunity and experience of healthcare service. And through that experience, leading nursing workforce, which is where international recruitment came under my portfolio a few years ago. And it was at that point that actually I realised how much I really enjoyed and had a passion for influencing global health and international nursing, and just the absolute privilege of meeting so many wonderful people overseas, because we're in this together. You know, we know there is a global shortage of nurses. You know, the requirements for Sustainable Development Goals is universal health coverage for all. And what's so important is actually we have a voice and we're able to influence policy, you know, around a table and the future direction of healthcare travel. And it's doing this together. So we learn from our nurses and people from overseas as much as obviously the nurses and recruits learn from the NHS. It's around how we can share learning and best practice together. And that's what we're about, is partnership and collaboration. And you know, we're very proud of obviously what we do and what we've achieved in a short space of time as the Alliance. Although Carly and I have worked for many years in this field, actually within the Alliance, we've only been together for 2 years, and to be that time has just been phenomenal, as well as expanding to other healthcare professionals and the sector in terms of social care. And we're also looking at how we can support across the southwest as well, and other areas, which is fantastic. And I just want to, what's really, really important is around the ethical recruitment. So Carly, as you mentioned, you know, there we hear these stories all the time in terms of rogue agencies, scams, promising nurses, you know, the world, and it doesn't happen, and they part with thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, and you know, the home possessions and things like that in terms of opportunities. And you know, we are absolutely ethical recruiters. We are governed and audited and monitored in terms of our ethical recruitment approach, and that's very, very strict from an NHS perspective. We follow the World Health Organization Code of Ethical Recruitment Practice, which means that we cannot actively and directly recruit from any of the countries that are known as red list countries as part of their safeguarding healthcare and their workforce. So we are only allowed to recruit and deploy from green list countries, which is exactly what we do. So there's a very specific code in terms of what we adhere to. And it's so important for our nurses and healthcare professionals out there to be really aware of, you know, some of the scams that happen. And you know, I know in terms of desperation sometimes to have a career opportunity, it's very easy to fall into those traps, but it's really important to do the research beforehand and, you know, go onto the internet and research the people and find out those who are genuine and who aren't. And I hope, you know, we'll be able to share our website details, you know, all our social media channels. We're on every social media platform there is, where, you know, people themselves can go on there and follow us and like us and share the work that we do, because we're proud of the work we do, and to share that with everybody. Talking about the offer around the Devon Alliance, so, and it's all around ethical recruitment as well. So as a nurse and the healthcare professionals, you will not be expected to pay for anything to come and work for us. So we call it the One Devon offer, and as part of our package, everything is paid for, which includes certificate of sponsorship, NMC registration, reimbursement of English language tests. So if you sat an IELTS or an OET, when you arrive in the UK, bring the receipt. That is actually reimbursed. The CBT, OSCE, and 2 months free accommodation is provided here in Devon. Also flights, visa, and I'm just thinking whether there's anything else, but I think that's everything. But it's the whole package. Your meet and greet from the airport or transportation down to the accommodation at each of the hospitals. So actually, let me talk about the hospital. So our Devon hospitals include 2 city locations. So if people like a little bit more faster pace of life and great shopping and restaurants and busyness, we have 2 city locations, one being Plymouth, which is nearer the coast, and one being Exeter. So that's the Royal Devon University Hospitals and the University Hospitals Plymouth. We also have a hospital in North Devon, which is where Carly lives. And in fact, the photograph on the background of Carly is in North Devon, I believe. It is, isn't it, Carly? And this is a smaller organisation, but on the beautiful North Devon coast, which has some of the country's beautiful beaches. There's some of the best beaches, but that really beautiful, rugged coastline. And then we have Torbay and South Devon, which is on the South Devon coast, and you can see the beach behind me. Again, is one of our local beaches in the southwest. Both North Devon and Torbay, they are very much sort of close to the coast and countryside. So if you like nature and water sports or swimming or kayaking, paddleboarding, all of that, then Torbay and North Devon have those opportunities. But University Hospitals Plymouth also have the same, being close to the coast, but also that city vibe as well. And then we support our mental health trust, Devon Partnership Trust, and we also support our ambulance service in the southwest. So our ambulance service have offices in their emergency operations centres in Devon, in Exeter, and they also have a centre in Bristol. And we've recently been trialling a very exciting project for nurses to be recruited from overseas to work in the emergency operations centres at Southwest Ambulance. So that's been a very new role for us, but also for Southwest Ambulance. And we've recruited some really highly skilled critical care and emergency care nurses to be working as triage nurses in the ambulance service. So lots of exciting opportunities there, and over the whole county of Devon. So Devon itself is very similar to a state in India, but I suppose a much smaller state. But there are also community services across Devon. So where there's care delivered at home, care delivered in a community hospital, which is a little bit smaller hospitals than the acute NHS sites, but nevertheless still have some very sick or highly acute patients in those community hospitals. So there's also opportunities there. So it's a very exciting time. We absolutely support our staff that come and work with us. And as I say, over the last 2 years, we've really been able to develop our brands and develop who we are as the Alliance, and are very proud in terms of the work that we do, and pride ourselves on that pastoral support that Carly and Laura and the team provide. And we know, having met many nurses face to face from all around the world, it's an incredible what's the word I'm looking for? It's in terms of the commitment that you make to come and work and have an opportunity over here is phenomenal. And we absolutely are very grateful of our staff from overseas to come and work with us, and that's why we want to really help and support as much as possible, because of that difference our overseas recruits are making in terms of patient safety and quality, and supporting the workforce here in the NHS. And it's incredible, and I absolutely take my hat off to you for making that decision, because I'm not sure I could leave my family and get on a plane and travel thousands of miles to come and work for many years. It's sometimes we get homesick when we're overseas doing a campaign. So for our recruits coming into Devon and into the NHS and into the UK, we know it's a massive commitment, and we're very, very grateful and honoured that you make such decisions.
What are your future plans like? What are you looking ahead in this?
Wow. So, okay, our future plans. That's like Carly's face on this. So,
Something is started, so there should be future, no?
absolutely, absolutely. So, our ambition is absolutely to spread this great work that we do across the other, from across the whole healthcare sector, and to support other NHS organisations, private organisations, but also we want to continue to build our links with our overseas institutes and nursing colleges and partners. So we know international recruitment has to change. It's not sustainable in the way it is now. The whole world is looking for nurses, and the same nurses, and therefore we need to work together more closely and to build those partnerships, those exchange programs, educational opportunities, and sharing knowledge and best practice. And so that's our ambition for the future, is to be really able to strengthen that global healthcare partnerships. Anything from you, Carly? What's your thinking? Any more ambitions from you?
Really, Tracey. And also, it's that, we don't make a profit on this. So we're saving the NHS a lot of money that they have previously paid to agencies. And then secondly, we want to recruit nurses at no cost to them and stop these unscrupulous recruitment agencies that are charging nurses so much money.
Yeah, any advices for a nurse?
Our advice. Okay. So, if you're wanting to further your career as a nurse, then please have a look at our website, have a look at our social media channels. Both Carly and I are really proud of our profession. We're really proud to be a nurse, and we know the opportunities that are there. It's not easy to get here in the UK. We know English language is a challenge, and that is a big challenge. But what I would say is make sure that you have the right support in terms of English language tuition. Make sure that you're, again, working with the right companies, the right premium providers. If you're going to have to work to sit OET or with IELTS, there are, again, hundreds and thousands of centres that say they teach IELTS, they teach OET. Please make sure you go to the right organisations, because that's really important when you're studying and having to pay for your courses and to sit the exam as well. But, it can take a long time, quite a few months, if not years, to pass your English language. But what I would say is don't give up. If you have a dream, if you have an ambition, follow it. Hold your head up high, hold your profession, proud, and follow your aspirations, because it will happen. And I firmly believe things happen for a reason. And if you really want something and really believe in something, it will absolutely happen. We have a nurse who has joined us from Sri Lanka. It took him 18 months to get here, from interview, from passing his English language. Every stage of the journey was really hard. He had several hurdles to jump across, but he arrived here, and he's absolutely an inspiration in terms of it can happen. Never give up, just follow your dreams and be proud of what you do. And we'd love to be able to help you and support you in terms of following your ambition and dreams.
That's it. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Carly, for all your wonderful information given to us, and for the nurses, for the future nurses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Devon, located in the southwestern part of England, boasts a diverse landscape that ranges from stunning coastlines along the English and Bristol channels to rolling countryside dotted with picturesque villages. Its rich history, including ancient castles and heritage sites, is complemented by a vibrant cultural scene and a warm welcome community. The Devon Alliance for International Recruitment is delighted to mark a significant milestone: the successful placement of 1,000 nurses from across the globe. These dedicated healthcare professionals are making a profound impact, enhancing the lives of individuals in Devon and beyond. Devon Alliance follows the WHO Code of Ethical Recruitment Practices, ensuring recruitment processes prioritize fairness, transparency, and the well-being of healthcare professionals alongside deploying from the Green List countries stipulation.